Hi everyone, welcome back. Here I am again, and in this video I am going to be demoing the two-sample t-test, okay, assignment number 4 from the stats project. In the data, there's a variable called social support condition, and there's also a variable called the BAI score, which is simply a measure of anxiety symptoms. The Beck Anxiety Inventory is probably the most well-used clinical instrument to measure anxiety. Social support condition was created based on participant responses to a survey that asked about levels of social support from family and friends. Okay, based on the answers, the participants were either assigned to the high social support group, which is group 1, or the low social support group, okay, less friends, family, and connections. We want to see, okay, whether the hypothesis of the current study is supported, whether participants with higher social support have lower anxiety than participants in the lower social support group. A lot of research has shown that relationships, social support can be very good for mental health, reduce depression, reduce anxiety. We're going to test that out in our sample. We have two separate groups, right? We have a high social support group and a low social support group. Perfect place to use the two-sample or the independent samples t-test to see if anxiety is significantly different between the two. Let me go ahead and show you how to run this. Okay, let me share my screen into StatCrunch. Right here. Okay. Let me just get out of this. I'm going to click on Stat. I'm still using t-statistics, but here I have two samples and I have data. Okay, now this is where people get confused. Watch this very carefully. We're looking at anxiety, okay? Anxiety, and then for sample 2, anxiety. Now we need to tell the computer where the anxiety scores are coming from. Who are the two samples? Okay, that's where this where function comes in. Now you're going to click build, and it's critical that you don't type here, but that you actually point and click. Social support group equals 1. Okay, so we're going to look at the anxiety score for social support group 1, and we're going to compare it to the anxiety score for social support group equals 2. You've got to use the keypad here. It's a little bit glitchy when people type, so if you can't run the test, this is probably why. Okay, you need to be clicking on the keypad. Okay. Now with a two-sample test, we always pool the variances. It's possible that the groups are not equal in size, so we want to get a combined estimate of the variance. And then we actually don't need to change anything else. The null hypothesis says that ultimately in these two populations, which these samples represent, there will be no difference in anxiety. The alternative hypothesis is that there is a difference in anxiety. Hopefully the data show that the lower social support group have more anxiety than those with more support. Now, so you could compute a confidence interval. I didn't ask you to do that. Lots of tables and graphs available, but we just want the basic test results. We're going to click compute. Let's check out our data. Okay, so we're comparing the average anxiety score for group 1 against the average anxiety score for group 2. Okay, the sample is different by 2.6 points. Okay, here's our standard error estimate, pretty big. 23 degrees of freedom here, 25 people in the data total. With the two-sample t-test, we do the n-2 to get degrees of freedom. Our t-statistic is 0.84, and our p-value is 0.40. So now that you've already gotten familiar with interpreting t-statistic output from the previous assignment, it's going to be up to you to interpret what's going on here. Okay, are our results statistically significant or not? Write up the APA string, the terminology showing the t-test results, and give us a few sentences about what the findings mean if you were explaining them to someone who knows nothing about statistics. That's going to wrap up this video. After we come back from the Thanksgiving break, we're going to be talking more about the analysis of variance or the ANOVA test, so stay tuned for that.